Okay, girls, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to record this help right now on homework 2.3 on 9, and then we'll do number 11. I'm going to show you some shortcuts on where else to get help. Okay, so let me copy it over. So it's homework 2.3, and I'm just copying just the basics of it. Number 9. Okay. All right. Now, I want to show you a couple things. I actually put this in web conferencing in our E360 kind of weekly to-do list. It's called the study plan, and it will help you figure these problems out too. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. Whenever you're on a homework problem, you want to look for this number up here. Every homework problem has this number, and that number stands for Chapter 2, Section 3, and it's going to be like number 47. Don't worry about the number 47 too much, just the first two numbers are the chapter and the section. Okay, so remember this 2.3.47, okay? Now, we're going to go to my math lab. I'm going to get out of here. Okay, so we're going to go into my math lab, and we're going to go to where it says study plan. And in web conferencing in the weekly to-do list in E360, I kind of explain it, but I like it better just showing you right here. So in the study plan, if you go over to the right, you have to click on view all chapters right away. It's kind of weird, but you have to do it that way. Then we have all these extra problems. In the study plan are just tons of extra problems to do for practice. So we're going to go to Chapter 2 and then Section 3, and we can just click right on it. And now we're in Section 2.3. Okay, then we're going to look for that number, and I already forgot that number. It's 2.3.47. So we're going to go to 2.3.47, and it's right here. Okay, so we're going to click on 2.3.47. It was talking about sales tax, right? Here's a very similar problem. So in the study plan, it also has the same similar problem. But if you notice on the right-hand side, there's more help buttons. A lot of people like view an example. That's the one that they like the best. Okay? What view an example will do is it will walk you through the whole problem. Now, this is the book walking you through the whole problem, so it may not be exactly the way I would have solved it, but it is a way to solve it. Okay? So if you click on view an example, they will show you another example that's similar. Now, notice that numbers are not exactly the same. This one says 9%, while the other one said 3%, and so forth. But we can go through and say, let's just keep looking. Okay, so if you just keep hitting continue, it's going to kind of go through all the steps. Now, usually in word problems, the steps are quite wordy. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with you, but I just wanted you to see where the study plan is. Okay, that's view an example. If you click help me solve this, it takes this exact problem right here and does it for you. But what it will ask you for is you fill in the blank. So that's why some people don't like all the work. So it's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to get out of the study plan, and then, well, I'll leave that open, but I'll go back to our original problem. And again, to find that in the study plan, you go to Chapter 2, Section 3. Okay, and that's going to be in the study plan. Does that help, girls? You think?
Yeah, I'll use that.
Good. So I just wanted you to know, in our regular homework, you don't have all the help buttons that you do in the study plan. Okay, in our, it gets you to the textbook, and connect to a tutor. I think you get a half hour free for the whole semester. It's not a whole lot, but that's through Pearson. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of walk you through this. Again, you could look through the study plan, but I'll help you with this problem. It says a hotel manager found that his gross receipts for the day, including a 3% sales tax, were $3,311.45. You'll probably have different numbers. Now, gross receipts, I'm just going to say total for the day. So he has this whole, the hotel, he totaled up all the receipts for the day, and that's how much they brought in. Okay, so I'm going to write his total. Now, how do I figure out my total? I figure out the amount, let's just say your base amount. But then when you buy something, don't you usually have to pay taxes on it? So you've got your base amount plus how much you're going to pay in taxes, right? So we know the total was $3,311.45. We don't know how much just the regular amount was. Like if it was a hotel room, maybe it was $95 per room. And then we have to add tax onto it. Well, in this case, it's 3% of whatever that hotel costs. So if it was $95, we'd take 3% times 95. So does this make sense so far? Okay, and ECO's still left already, but that's okay. So now what I'm really doing is I'm solving this problem for x. So I've got 1 here, 1.03 times x, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 1.03. And I don't know, can you girls do that on your calculator? I mean, I can do it here. So 3311.25 divided by 1.03, and you've got 3,215. Okay, now, what does that represent? That's not the tax. That's your kind of base amount. So how do you figure out the sales tax collected?
Times by 0.03.
Okay, perfect. So you're going to take this 3215, multiply it by 0.03. There is another way to do it. Do you girls know what's the other way? Take your original amount and subtract off this 3215. And the rest will be taxed. Does that kind of make sense? And you get the same amount. Very, very, very good question. And I'm just going to enter that in just to make sure it was correct. So this is the study plan. I got to go back to my actual assignment. So when you enter in your answers, you actually have to go back to the original assignment. And then we were on question 9, and I wonder if they're going to change the value. No, I think it stayed the same. Phew! What was my answer? 96.45. Sometimes when you leave and then come back in, it actually changes the numbers. So, all right, you want to go on to 11? Do you guys girls want me to help you with 11?
Can we do 10 too?
Yes, let's just do 10 next then. We'll just go in order. Okay. So, question 10. And I'm only going to cut. Whoops, I didn't want all that. Okay. All right. Ella, was that you asking for this one?
No, Jessica.
Jessica, okay, thank you. I didn't look up quick enough to see who. Now, again, if you were looking at the study plan, you would look for this number, okay? And that would walk you through it. Okay, but we can go through number 10 on our own. So number 10 is highlighted in yellow. That's the one we're going to work on right now. All right, number 10 says, a mother wants to invest $12,000 for her son's future education. She invests a portion of money in the CD, earns 4%, and the remainder in a 7%. The total interest earned, okay, good. So this is very, very, very similar to the one we did in class. So I'm going to say this is equation 1, and let's just identify our variables. X is equal to the amount of money invested in the 4%, and then let's do Y for the 7%. Okay, then I'm going to set up my two equations. Equation 1 talks about how much total money that they're going to invest. So they're going to invest, I don't know how much for the 4%, I don't know how much in the 7%, but my total amount of money that I have is $12,000. So maybe they'll put $2,000 in the X account and $10,000 in the Y, but I don't know. That's what we're going to figure out. Equation 2 is talking about interest. And whenever you talk about interest, that's where you start putting in the percents as a decimal. So equation 2 is this sentence right here. So we've got 4% for this account, 7% interest for that account, and when we figure out our whole interest, we're going to make $720 that year. Does that help on that one?
I get stuck later.
What was that? Get stuck later?
I've been doing this, but it hasn't worked out.
Okay.
For 3 times.
Now, does, why don't we use your numbers then, Jessica? Does that sound good?
These actually match the ones that I'm on right now.
Oh my goodness, awesome.
Yeah.
So the exact same numbers and everything.
Yep.
Woohoo! All right, perfect. Okay. Now, is this where you're getting stuck?
After this, I have started multiplying, and
okay, this
my
is
numbers were different before.
Okay, okay. I would get your X alone on one side for equation 1. And then does that make sense for equation 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Because really it's the $12,000 minus however much is going to be in the Y account. So that's going to be your X account.
Yep.
Now in equation 2, I can take my X and substitute it in. So my X now is 12,000 minus Y, and the rest of my equation 2, let me go back to it, is 0.04 times my X plus 0.07 times my Y equals 720. So my original equation 2 was 0.04X plus 0.07Y equals 720. I'm now just substituting in for that X. Okay, so now you're going to need your calculator. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, so this is where I get
480.
480 minus 0.04y plus 0.07y is equal to 720. Combine my y's, I get 480 plus 0.03y equals to 720. When I subtract 480, I get 0.03y is equal to 240. And when I divide both sides by 0.03, I get 8,000. So you have $8,000 in the, 7% account? And I think it was the savings bond or something. I'm running out of room, so I'm going to have to go over there. How do you get how do you get X?
Fill it into equation number 1.
Good.
Y.
Yep, good. So you could use that new equation if you want. So you get $12,000 minus $8,000. So you've got $4,000 in your, excuse me, in the 4% account. So where did you goof up somewhere, Jessica?
I'm not sure. I think I distributed wrong and
Yep.
maybe didn't combine my variables
Sure. And one little
properly.
mistake is just going to goof you up the whole time, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it was something different every single time I did it, because on the last time I got really close, but I was off by $2,000 somehow. I don't know.
That would be frustrating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the CD account, which one was that, 4%? So we earned, was it $4,000? Okay. Oh, and they only asked for the CD. We didn't even have to do the other one, did we? But there you go. Excuse me, in some problems they'll ask for both, and other problems they'll just ask for one of the two answers. Okay, let me go to 11. Ella, that's the one you wanted too?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, so let me copy that. And this is also an interest one, but it's worded differently, and it definitely is a little bit more difficult. I'm going to show you the way I would do it, but if you were to go to the study plan and do this problem, I think they set up like a table and stuff, and that's perfectly fine. I just don't solve my problems like that. So if you want to follow that way, that's fine too. Okay. Excuse me. I got stuck on a cough drop here. Okay, so it's another interest, but again, it's a little bit more difficult. You got this actor, and he's going to invest some money at 6%, and then he's going to take $32,000 more than twice that amount at the 9%. Holy moly. So this is where it gets a little tricky. The total annual interest earned from that is $25,200. What's different about this problem is they don't tell you, like they don't give you a simple sentence where this is the total amount that they invested. No, they give you this blah stuff. So I'm going to just help you through this. I'm going to say this represents X, and then the amount at 9% is going to be Y. Okay. So my first equation is actually all of this. This is your first equation. 32,000 more than twice the amount over here would be 2 times X plus 32,000. That amount is going to be your Y. So that's how you set up equation 1. 32,000 more than twice the original amount, the X amount, is going to equal your Y amount. And whether you write the 32,000 first or second, like I did up here, it doesn't matter because it's addition. It's addition. That's the part that most people had problems with this problem. So I can understand that one being a little bit difficult. Okay, the total interest earned is $25,200. That's actually going to be equation 2. So that's the same. That's the same. We're earning 6% for this account. We're earning 9% for the other account, and our total interest is $25,200. Does that help with this problem a little bit, girls?
Yeah, I think I just got confused on how to set it
Oh
up.
my goodness. Yeah, when I first read this problem, I was like, oh wow, this is a pretty good one, but it's pretty intense. Now, the reason I do like this problem better once I have the equation down because it's already solved for y. So I'm just going to substitute this in for y here. And I'm going to solve now for x. Oops, I had one too many zeros. Do you want me to continue on with this problem? Yeah or no?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm going to distribute the 0.09. So I have $2,880 here plus 0.18x equals 25,200. I'm going to combine like terms, so I get 0.24x plus 2,880 equals 25,200. I'm going to subtract off my 2,880. And I've got 23,000, oops, nope. I have 22,320. And on this side I have 0.24x, so divide both sides by 0.24. And I've got 93,000. Holy moly, could you imagine having that much money? And then to get the other one at the 9% account, you could substitute in equation 1 where y is equal to 32,000 plus 2x. So in this account, you're basically adding 32,000 to twice that amount. So you really have, holy moly, $32,000 plus $186,000. So they actually have $218,000 invested in the 9% account. Holy moly. And I'm going to enter in those answers. 93 and 218. I'll put that back up so you can see it. Okay, I'm just going to pause this really quick. Okay, so the next problem we're going to do is number 14 from homework 2.3. And this is the one dealing with mixtures, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I kind of read through my problems first, and then I look to see. This doesn't say mixture anywhere, does it? But it's kind of implying it's added to, so we know it's a mixture problem. And it's got chemicals, so a lot of times we just assume it's mixture. Okay, so when we do mixture, you can start out with a picture. I don't always for mixtures because the chart is pretty much almost always the same. But you can start off with a picture. We're going to mix 3 things together, and we're going to have a title row. So we're going to have 4 rows. And the first thing I usually do is I write a percent as a decimal. That's the first thing I do. So how many quarts of pure antifreeze? Now this is where it's a little tricky, and they talk about pure antifreeze being 100%. So if I write that as a decimal, that's going to be just plain old 1. Then let's say it's going to add it to 20% antifreeze, so that's going to be your 0.2. When you're mixing it together, you're going to get 40% antifreeze. So that's your percent. Then the next column is dealing with like a physical measurement, and we're measuring these in quarts. So I'm just going to put Q there. So how many quarts of that pure antifreeze? That's the part we don't know. So when it asks a question, that's the part that's going to be X. So we're going to add that amount to 2 quarts of the 20% antifreeze. So this is going to be 2 quarts. Now the picture over here may be helpful. If we have X quarts here and 2 quarts here, when we put them together, I have X plus 2 quarts. And some people like to draw this little line here. We're mixing them together. So when you have a physical quantity, let's say you don't know how much to begin with, but then you're going to add 2, so then the total would be X plus 2.
Okay.
And then this last column, we're going to multiply it. Let me get a darker purple. This column, you're always multiplying these two to get that one. So this is just going to be 1x. This one's going to be 0.2 times 2. And this one's going to be 0.4 times x plus 2. And then you always add. So for your third thing, your equation, that's a nice thing about mixture problems. You always add these two and add equal to that one. And then the rest isn't hard. It's just solving this. Okay, and so then I would subtract off the 0.4x from both sides. And remember, this is a 1. So 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6. And some people don't like to deal with decimals because they forget about just little things like that. To remember that it's 0.6 and so forth. And so the book does teach it where they get rid of the decimals by multiplying everything through, in this case by 10. But you don't have to. And then you divide both sides by 0.6. And then you got the 2/3. And I'm just trying to think. Oh, they say to round to the nearest tenth. So that is 0.6 repeating. So 0.7. And I'm going to enter that into my So it's kind of funny that they would want a decimal in that instance, but I would think that 2/3 would have been your answer, but nope.
Okay, I did the same thing, but with my numbers, and
yeah. I still did get something.
No.
Okay. All right. Why don't I'm going to have you tell me your numbers, and then we'll go over that.
Okay. How many quarts of pure antifreeze must be added to 7 quarts
okay.
of 10% antifreeze
okay.
solution to obtain a 20% antifreeze solution?
Okay. So I'm going to have you tell me, in your first box, it's your pure antifreeze.
Yep.
What is your number?
In the chart?
Yep.
I've just got 1x.
Good. And then the next one, I think it's a 10%, right?
Yep. 0.07.
Oh, 7%? Or 7?
No, it's 10% and 7 quarts.
Okay, now over here you got your quarts. You don't know how much pure, but you have 7 here. So for your 10%, you got your 7. And then the very last, you're mixing it so that it's 20%, right?
Yep.
So what goes in that bottom box there?
0.2.
Good.
And then X plus 7.
Good. Okay. And so now in this column over here, what do you have for your numbers?
1X.
Okay.
0.7.
Good. And then?
0.2X plus 1.4.
Perfect. Okay. So then your equation should be x plus 0.7 equals 0.2x plus 1.4, you said?
Oh, yeah, I think I see where I messed up. I did 0.07 instead of 0.7.
Yeah. And that's the thing with decimals. That's one thing that'll mess you up if you're not careful. You're
Now
right.
that I'm looking at my equation.
Yeah. That's probably what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, just be careful. If you don't like decimals, just multiply through everything by 10. Because here you have to be careful that you get 0.8x and not like negative 1x or something like that.
Uh-huh. So I get 0.8x plus 0.7
Good.
equals 1.4.
Okay.
And then I have to redo my math here.
Sure.
0.8x equals 0.7.
Good.
And then x equals 0.875.
Perfect. And they'll probably also say around the nearest tenth, so what would you say? This is approximately.
0.88.
Tenth would just be 1 decimal.
Oh, 0.9.
Yep. There you go.
All right, thank you.
You are welcome. Yeah, I'm glad you girls stayed. I wish more people could stay to get help after class, so I'm going to see if maybe I could post this later on,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. And
Yeah,
then,
that's fine.
yeah, people can see the solution, so.
Tomorrow.